caravan makes its way up our southern border with another one behind it, President Trump is reportedly preparing to announce a sweeping border crackdown as early as tomorrow, which could include denying this caravan entry by declaring it a grave national security threat. But critics are already arguing the Constitution protects illegal immigrants. But is that really the case? I want to bring in Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Ken, you talk to the president. I know what he wants to do. You're on the same page as him. But how does he do it?
You know, he's got a statute that he used during the travel ban debate, which gives him the authority to restrict the entry of any class of non-resident aliens that he views as detrimental to the country. And I think that is the statute that he plans on using to try to keep these people from coming into the country, at least this large group of this large caravan.
Now, what proof do we have that these men and women are a danger, and 85% evidently are men, are a danger to the country?
Look, it's hard to have proof when they're coming up from countries that, you know, are in Central America. We end up finding proof long after they're here. So that's part of the challenge that we deal with, is we don't know who these people are when they're coming to our border, and some of them are, you know, committing crimes. And so the problem is we find out too late.
Right, but they're coming. What about the optics, because all the cameras are going to be there, of our men and women in uniform, in camouflage, maybe having to restrain people with backpacks who just trying to walk forward? I mean, it's not going to look great unless you see something I don't.
No, I mean, there's no doubt you'll have the media along the border filming a lot of this stuff, but the reality is his job is to protect people in this country. And we know in Texas, we keep these statistics. We know that these people coming in, they commit crimes. We have tracked it over the last 6 years. We've had over 1,200 homicides. And talk to the families who have suffered the loss of a family member as a result of illegal immigration. Right.
So as Attorney General of Texas, you know McAllen is closer than San Diego. More than likely, they're coming to you. So knowing that they're coming there, what activity is already taking place at the border? I know the General Mattis has already given permission for our troops to go.
Well, we in this state have funded Border Patrol, not Border Patrol, but our own people down there to help Border Patrol. But the reality is this is a federal issue. Most of the authority comes under federal law. So I really believe the president has beefed up the border. He's beefed it up with Border Patrol, but he's also added other people to help Border Patrol, and I think that's going to continue.
Lastly, 20 seconds. Attorney General, if I gave you a check and said fill it out, you can build a barrier or a wall. How much do you need? How much would it help?
Well, there's no doubt it's going to be expensive, billions. But at the same time, the cost of illegal immigration to our country every year is billions. So once you get the wall built, you get your technology in place, you have the right number of Border Patrol, you're going to end up having cost savings down the road. So you have to invest in the infrastructure, but once you've invested, it ultimately saves the country lots of money down the road.
All right, Ken, it's all coming to you. Attorney General Ken Paxton of Texas, thanks so much.
Roughly 5,000 U.S. troops will be deploying to the southern border in response to the migrant caravan pushing north through Mexico, a U.S. official confirmed to Fox News. Some of the troops will be deploying as early as Tuesday. The reinforcements headed to the U.S.-Mexico border are support troops, not combat troops, and will include engineers, as well as aviation and medical personnel. The troop deployment, first reported by The Wall Street Journal, had been expected after Defense Secretary Jim Mattis approved the request last week. But the number of troops is far higher than initial estimates. President Trump, meanwhile, has called for the caravan to turn back and warned its members that the military is waiting for you. He tweeted Monday, "Many gang members and some very bad people are mixed into the caravan heading to our southern border. Please go back, you will not be admitted into the United States unless you go through the legal process. This is an invasion of our country and our military is waiting for you." Fox News has learned military police will be among those headed to the border, though they will not be acting in a law enforcement role, but rather in a force protection mission, guarding any U.S. military personnel supporting the Border Patrol, according to another official. Combat troops are not being considered, though the bulk of the reinforcements going to the border are active duty forces. Because they would not be performing law enforcement duties, they would not be in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act, which prohibits the federal government from using the armed forces in a domestic police role. There already are about 2,000 National Guard troops assisting at the border under a previous Pentagon arrangement, with 5,000 additional troops headed south. There will be roughly the same number of American forces positioned along the southern border as there are deployed to Iraq and Syria combined. While troops are being deployed, White House officials are continuing to discuss possible executive or regulatory action to prevent people in the caravan from coming across the border. One idea under consideration is a measure that would only allow asylum claims to be made at a port of entry or border crossing. Under the idea, anyone who tried to make an asylum claim by crossing the border illegally would be deemed inadmissible, and their claim would be denied. The caravan of Central American migrants continues its journey north from southern Mexico, but is still roughly 1,000 miles away from the southern border with the U.S. The caravan is now estimated at about 4,000 people. Now estimated at about 4,000 people.